So we've been seeing a little bit of talk about this W-shaped pattern in the market right now, and I'm going to be breaking this down for you because it is potentially a reversal pattern that Bitcoin could be seeing, meaning that we could be ready to move up. And basically what this looks like is we formed, basically nearly the end of a W pattern, which could end up taking us back up to this high, and then hopefully we break that high. Our target would be basically at least the height of this W, so we can just kind of draw this line. This is super rough analysis, but this does give us a target, in the very low $30,000 range. And really what this pattern means more than a W shape is it's a double bottom. And so let's take a little bit of a closer look at this. Let's ridicule this and really put this under a microscope to see exactly what we are dealing with right here. And the first thing to acknowledge right here is, it would work if this is a double bottom. If we identify this low right here and this low right here, they're not exact, but they are definitely close enough. In fact, let's see what the percentage difference is. Yeah, this is a 3% difference between each low, so this is absolutely fully relevant in my opinion. But one of the big issues that I am seeing with this W pattern right here, with this double bottom pattern, is that you see the first time that we kind of set this low right here, the market very quickly rebounded up, right? And if we measure this in terms of time, with this first sharp bounce, it was 2 days for the market to rise up by it's not really fully accurate. It's a little bit less than 2 days. A day and 20 hours roughly for the market to pump up by about 22%. But for the market right here, within that same kind of time frame, we basically only managed to rise up by about 7%. And to our high, which took us 6 days, so nearly 1 week, we didn't even get that high. We only went up by 13%. And the reason that I'm showing you this is that the first bounce we got off this low is a lot stronger than the second bounce we're getting off a similar low. We did get a bounce right here off this low, but I don't know. It's just not the most relevant bounce in my opinion. It doesn't actually mean too much in my opinion, just given that we did end up falling back down into the very same range just shortly afterwards. And so what I am seeing here, potentially more than a double bottom, and this is why I'm making the YouTube video for you guys today, is yes, we did set this low right here, but the second time around, the next time around, especially on this more macro scale, if we kind of zoom out onto the daily time frame and so on, we're not really showing that kind of bullish energy right here. This is just if we analyze this alone. There's actually quite a few things that are going for Bitcoin in its favor right now, and I'm going to show you them in just a minute. So make sure you smash up those likes, double check that you're subscribed, got the bell icon checked as well for this very time sensitive content, because it's not actually all doom and gloom in this YouTube video, but one of the things that I don't like is we see how one support level is responded to pretty well, and then we come down to the same support level and we're just kind of anemic. We anemic isn't the right word. We're just kind of weak, really, at this very same level where previously we demonstrated a little bit of strength. This time, not so much. To me, that is a little bit of a concerning sign. It is something that kind of, I don't know, it's turning me off a little bit. It's making me somewhat concerned about the strength of this market. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I'm kind of holding back on this W-shaped pattern right now. One of the things that honestly, and I hate to say it, but honestly what I think might be more likely is that Bitcoin is just kind of in a sideways range of sorts, which would still be really, really nice, eventually, meaning that we kind of, we hit the top of this range, whether that's in the middle of November or whatever. It doesn't really matter, just that it happens eventually. I think could actually end up being quite plausible. And the reason I'm saying that is, if you take a look at the S&P 500, this is actually the best piece of news I can give you guys in this YouTube video, ladies and gents, today is, the S&P 500 has ended up swinging below its prior low. It's now coming down to, kind of my final real area of support for the S&P 500. And if we do fail this, I think things could get really, really bad for the S&P 500. And I've been saying this for a really, really long time. Those of you who are subscribed, again, you're going to know all about this, ladies and gents. This is definitely quite a nice area of support for the SPX, and it has dropped down to this level. But in this very same time, Bitcoin hasn't actually been dragged down with it. And I think that's important because we've seen a little bit of volatility for the dollar as well. We saw the dollar shooting up to, 114.5 right here on this dollar index right here, which, generally when the dollar is rising up, Bitcoin generally is dropping down. Again, for some reason, a lot of people, they just act like this inverse correlation doesn't exist, but it's very fucking obvious. I showed it to you in the last video. Here it is right here. Let me just hide my face cam so you can see this once more. These two charts show you the exact same time frame, and you can see right here when the dollar started to really pick up, Bitcoin, kind of fluffed around a little bit, but the overall trend was very, very clear. As the dollar was picking up, Bitcoin was getting absolutely decimated. And you can trace this back way more. It's not just me picking one isolated instance and showing you that there's an inverse correlation here. It's very, very clear. But we've kind of potentially seeing a decoupling of that lately, where Bitcoin isn't really correlating with the SPX, isn't really having that inverse correlation relationship with the dollar as well. It's kind of just moving in its own way, and that can mean a couple of things. Like, the exciting thing that could mean is very much so that Bitcoin just is strong. That everything else is kind of looking a little bit weak, but Bitcoin has its own strength for some reason. And you can always label a million reasons for it. I'm not going to dive into that. But what it could also mean is this is an anomaly. It could just mean that this is no big deal. When there's a significant bout of volatility that returns to the markets, Bitcoin could end up getting swept away with it, whether that takes us to the upside or to the downside. Bitcoin could end up getting swept away with that. And I think that is really, really important to keep in mind. But what I'm seeing right now is the standard, guys. I mean, I think people are, again, just a little bit too bearish given where we are right now. We are at, market lows right here, market cycle lows pretty much, and we're just kind of, we're staying steady. I mean, it's not good. Ideally, we would have gotten a bounce. Like I said, I don't like the fact that we're kind of gravitating around these levels. And you guys know my take on this very, very well, but I want to show this to you once more as well, because this is something that we've actually seen Bitcoin do quite a bit, right? Let me see if I can find you a really good example right here. I think one of the easiest examples to show you is going to be kind of like around here, where if you look at how we were interacting with this trend line, the market previously was getting really nice big bounces off this trend line. But when we kind of came to the end of it, just before we ended up slipping below, you can see that we stopped getting bounces off this trend line, right? Take a look at this bounce. Take a look at this bounce. We were getting big moves to the upside, right? Look, I mean, yes, we did end up coming back down, but we were quite substantially pumping up. If we measure this from the low to the high, this was a 38% move. I mean, you can't underplay that. And if we just measure it from the trend line, still it's a 34% move. It's absolutely bloody enormous. Over here, 24%. Over here, we're looking at 12%, and over here again, we're looking at 27%. On this occasion, though, we only move up by 9%. You know what I mean? And it's we're showing weakness at a support level, and that kind of was what hinted to us that we might be ready to drop down. And there's so many instances of this. I mean, I can show you this for days. Let's see if I can find another one very quickly as well. One of the other things that's just generally quite bearish is if the market just kind of gravitates at lows, right? I mean, if we take a look at this and we just, if we draw a box at our $6,000 range, guys, drop me a comment down below if you were here back then. I always ask you this question because I'm just curious to see how many of you have been watching this YouTube channel or have just been in the market since this point and are still here today, coming up to the end of 2022. I think it's just interesting to see. But one of the key things is again, you take a look at the ferocity of these bounces right here. I mean, very quick, sharp reactions that the market is producing, but you can see they're gradually getting weaker, right? I mean, we're not moving as fast on our subsequent bounces. Look, this was 13 days to hit the high. On this occasion, it was 30 days to hit the high. On this occasion, it was 30 days again. And on this occasion, 23 days. Much, much slower than the first time. And then we measure it. This was a plus 100% move. This was a plus 60%. Here, plus 50. Here, plus 25. And here we stop bouncing, ladies and gents. And this is kind of what we're in right now. And again, this is the kind of price action that we tend to see when a support level is about to break. It's one of the things that's scaring me away from this W-shaped pattern. But again, it's not all doom and gloom. You guys know the deal with this. I mean, as traders, this is actually an opportunity for us, right? The good thing about this chart is that if we look at where our support levels are, there isn't really any support that I'm seeing for Bitcoin until, potentially quite a substantial drop down. I mean, this is, potentially opening up a trapdoor with like a 20-25% move down, which might not sound like a lot, but if you leverage that up a little bit, you can actually pull some really, really nice gains on that. And you guys already know I'm going to be doing that on Bybit if I trade that exact move. I don't know yet if I will, but I think it's a really good idea overall. And if I do, I am going to be doing that right here on Bybit. This has been my favorite exchange for years. You guys know the deal. You've heard me talking about it for a very, very long time, and I'm super, super happy with them. So go ahead and check them out in the link, with the link in the description below, because you're going to get up to like $4,000 deposited into your account as a cash bonus when you sign up using my link. So you can actually use that to trade the market risk-free. You don't have to even put your own money in. You'd have to make your deposit, but you don't have to trade with your own money. And then if you make profits with that cash that Bybit gives you as a bonus, you get to keep those profits too. So it's pretty much risk-free trading. You can do whatever the hell you like with that money, all just by following that link in the description down below. So well worth checking that out. But bringing us back to what we have right here, I think this is definitely quite an appealing setup in the market, because if we do end up dropping down, like I said, there is that gap to be playing. But, you know, just kind of staying a little bit more zoomed in, you know, talking about this W-shaped pattern, you know, usually when we do get these, and I'm going to stop calling it W-shaped, this is a double bottom, that's the correct term. You know, when we do get these double bottoms, again, you know, you want to see some slightly faster bounces here. So, you know, the invalidation for this is probably going to be if we kind of drop below this low, or as I've been saying, drop below our market cycle low, which would be about 17.5. I really don't want to see us losing kind of 18.2. This has been our support level for a little bit of time now, and you know, that's going to be quite a big blow to, I think, the confidence of the market if we kind of do end up slipping below, you know, I'd say just kind of this box, really. You know, we can wick down below a little bit, whatever. We shouldn't, but we could. But bottom line, I mean, there's just not really much that's supporting the market if we do end up kind of plummeting below this area. And I think that's what's putting Bitcoin in a really, really delicate position right now. You know, we are sometimes getting, you know, price action that takes us up, but this is quite clearly manipulation, and it just gets shut back down very, very quickly. Really quite far from ideal situations in the market right now, ladies and gents. And I think that's definitely something that, you know, perhaps people just aren't really open to believing. You know, we're still seeing majority longs in the market. I do not understand why. Obviously, these are nice price levels to be buying Bitcoin and stuff like that, especially given how high Bitcoin was and, you know, how low it is comparatively now. But, you know, at the very same time, we are still in a very, very fragile place. Still, I want to show you the Fear and Greed Index. It's actually, again, still showing us all the right signs. We've got a reading of 24 today, 20 yesterday, 24 last week, 25 last month. We are flatlining, ladies and gents, in areas of extreme fear. You look at these last 3 months, I mean, this is the longest time I've ever seen the market at such low levels on this Fear and Greed Index right here. And actually, you can take a look at this just on the max kind of time frame here. I mean, we had it a little bit like this back in 2018, you know, but we were at least kind of punching up to, you know, neutral territories, you know, fairly often. I mean, it was, let's take a look at this. This was in May. We got back there again in July. So that's 2 months later, and again in November. So I'm so bad at this. I think 4 months later. On this occasion, we've only hit neutral territory. We didn't even really get that high, you know, but we hit neutral territory just once, you know, ever since these big drops started to happen kind of around Q2, Q2 of this year. And we haven't really been able to pull that kind of recovery yet. Now, there's still plenty of time, so we could be looking at something similar to 2018. But I think bottom line, we are in a really, really scary place in the market where a lot of people are just super upset with what they're seeing in this market. And again, you know, in terms of sentiment, that does tell me that, you know, we could be looking at some sort of relief. You know, everybody and their nan is obviously predicting low prices for Bitcoin right now. I still maintain my position there that despite everything I'm seeing, I almost have this, you know, just hunch, just looking at psychology, the psychology of the market, which has been the #1 most reliable indicator, if I can call it that, over this, you know, kind of last year and a half, 2 years, for me at least. You know, people are just swinging way too far onto the bearish side overall. I know longs are not representing that, but general sentiment absolutely is. You know, and that to me is still something that I want to, you know, just kind of just make sure that I'm paying attention to. You know, when things like this are happening, where the S&P 500 is dropping down, which usually ends up dragging Bitcoin with it, and dragging Bitcoin with it quite a lot. You know, it's almost like if the S&P 500 drops by 1%, Bitcoin drops by 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Like, it's usually a lot fiercer for Bitcoin. The fact that we're just not seeing that right now, does that mean there's extra strength? Does it mean that this is just a weird time and people aren't really paying attention to Bitcoin? You know what I mean? I think that's a question for you to answer on your own. But for me, I'm seeing that as a sign of strength. I honestly am, because what we would see if and this is quite a big drop for the S&P 500, guys. I mean, it's gapping down, it's swinging below prior lows. It still isn't even really at its support level. The S&P 500 will open I think in like 24 hours from now, 18 hours, my bad, 19 hours, you know. So we're gonna see what happens, you know, by the time you watch my video tomorrow. Just make sure you are subscribed for that as well, by the way, because you know, I know a lot of you guys do watch these videos consistently, even those of you who are not subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, you are not getting notified about these videos. Even if you are subscribed, YouTube's delivery system is horrible, so you got to make sure you've got that bell icon checked, and you've got to make sure that you're inside of our free Telegram channel, where we're giving you more analysis around the clock, free of charge, along with updates on the YouTube videos that we're publishing right here as well. So again, that you don't miss these things when they are published, again, because they're very, very time sensitive. So that is definitely something which I'm going to be keeping an eye on, because I know that a lot of people are interested in this kind of W-shaped pattern, this double bottom, my bad, that this market is producing right now. And you know, I'm optimistic about it. Like I said, bottom line, we're at range lows right now. We are essentially at the bottom line, and there's quite a bit of upside that the market could explore. And definitely, I think, you know, we don't have to do a lot to trigger that. You know, we just kind of have to rise above, you know, probably these two green lines right here at 19.6 and 20.2, and really beyond that, I think, you know, it shouldn't be too difficult for Bitcoin to rise up, at least to, you know, I don't know, 22, 21. It's a tight range. It's definitely a tight range. But because we've been kind of having this ceiling for so long now, you know, I don't think that we need to punch too high above it in order to trigger potentially quite a bit of excitement in the market. And we're seeing that, you know, demonstrated with things like the EMA ribbon. You know, let's take a look at this on the 4-hour time frame. We're going to start to see that this is really tightening. We don't have that much of a spread anymore. Let's wait for this to load up, taking its sweet time. Look at this. There's no 4-hour EMA ribbon anymore. I mean, it's just the line, really. So that's showing us that, you know, resistance is potentially getting a little bit weaker in that sense. You know, we take a look at this on the daily time frame, which is obviously quite a large time frame, and unfortunately we haven't lost that spread yet. But is it starting to tighten? It obviously will start to tighten. We haven't quite seen that yet, but it is proving the very same thing that I said just a minute or two ago about, you know, how we don't have to punch too high above where we are right now in order for the market to potentially get quite bullish again. So that is something that I'm going to be paying attention to. Something I've actually just noticed here while talking to you guys, though, is that Bitcoin is potentially in a little bit of a rising wedge pattern right now. Take a look at this. So we might have even broken down from this. Let's see how this holds up on the 8-hour time frame. Yeah, that's quite a clear. Yeah, so that's not good. Bitcoin has done this within its current market cycle as well. You know, it's kind of potentially just slowly trending higher. You can start to see how that looks right here. Yeah, just using a line like that. You know, so we are kind of slowly, you know, it's definitely quite easy to tell with the lows. Our lows are getting higher generally. And again, you know, this is kind of happening at, you know, where we could be forming a double bottom. So this is a very, very typical pattern that Bitcoin loves to print right before a dump. You know, the last time that we did something like this was probably, I can't actually remember where it happened last, but it has definitely done this. We've even spoken about it on the YouTube channel before. Yeah, I can't find it off the top of my head, but certainly a fairly common pattern for Bitcoin. It's actually kind of the same thing that we saw like just right here. You know, again, it's just anytime the market is slowly trending up within a downtrend, you know, that is generally going to be a sign that actually things could be ready to dip down once again. So look, I just wanted to put this stuff on your radar. For the most part, I am having to stay relatively neutral here. We're at a key market reversal point at the end of the day, ladies and gents. You know, the S&P 500 is about to find potentially major support. You know, relief certainly is due. I mean, you know, this has been quite a disastrous drop for the SPX, and I don't care how bearish you are, things do not drop in a straight line forever. Things do not rise in a straight line forever either. You guys have heard me saying this all the time. We've had actually very accurate predictions with the S&P 500, just basically just off what I've said in the last 20 seconds about, you know, things don't go in straight lines forever. You know, I think that's really, really important to be keeping in mind in this market situation right now. So there you go. Definitely an exciting time. Some potentially very big opportunities right around the corner, and I don't want you guys to miss out on it when you've got literally free cash waiting for you. So go ahead and check Bybit out with the link in the description down below for yourself to get $4,000 that you can trade with free of charge when you sign up using my link down below and make your first deposit on the platform. Also, if you're in different territories that might have restricted access to Bybit, including even the UK, I know that BitGet is available in those regions. They don't even have KYC as well, so you know, this is not something that I can recommend or endorse, but I'm putting it, I'm just letting you guys know that there isn't KYC on BitGet right here. Certainly don't do this if you're not allowed to, but there you go. And BitGet is actually offering you guys $8,000 in bonuses. You're getting over 10K just by following my links in bonuses down below. So go ahead and check that out while they are available. And you guys know the deal. If you want to jump inside VIP, see exactly what I'm doing in the market in real time, bam, there's everything on screen for you as well. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you want to see from me. The market's a little bit dry. It's hard for me to find really good content for you guys. So I want to know what you want to see in the comment section down below. Just drop it down there. Let me know what you want me to talk about in these videos. But with that, I am going to be heading off right now. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you hit up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all the good stuff, and I'm out. Bye-bye.